It really amazes me. They just think they'll deal with anybody who drives up and forget that they have a lot of people who walk to their place of business. So
take us through like a complaint. You know, let's say you get a call and someone says, you know what, again, this neighbor won't, he's not shoveling, it's a dangerous situation. What happens next? What do you guys do?
Well, you have multiple ways to reach us now, through the iPhone apps, to the mayor's hotline at 635-4500.
Yep, 635-4500. Can't say that number enough. I think most people know it, but 635-4500, mayor's hotline.
And you can call code enforcement directly during our business hours at 8 to 4. It's 635-4896. So when we answer the phone, you know, it's 635-4896.
489. If I write it down, I think to myself, people at home are writing with me. 635-4896, direct line to code enforcement. So you get phone calls. You get internet. Is there a lot of internet traffic?
We get emails. It comes all different ways now. You know, you can get onto the websites and enter through that system of an email, and it comes into us. And we have the BlackBerry, so it will get to me in real time, and I'll dispatch it to whoever needs to follow up on that complaint. And a complaint comes in, we're logging in the book. We're up over 1,800 or 1,900 complaints.
I'm just going to ask you. So you've already received?
Yeah, that's about 500 more than we've ever had before in a month.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So you get almost 2,000 complaints this year?
Almost 2,000.
And that's an all-time record?
This storm has got a couple more days to go. Yeah, I think we're up to about, it was about 1,400 before was like the most we ever received in a month. And
typical complaint is?
My neighbor hasn't shoveled a sidewalk.
Okay.
You know, and so with all the new technology that the mayor's put out there to reach us, it's really
keeping you guys busy.
It's keeping us busy, but it's showing that the public really has access to government. And
this is an important issue.
It's very important. And when we go and we respond, it's a little burdensome on us because now we become more reactive than proactive. Usually we're walking the neighborhoods, we're looking for stuff, and we're following up complaints. Now when you have such a small workforce, and so many complaints, you're running from complaint to complaint to complaint, and which is because it helps you. The eyes and ears of this constituent is very valuable. It pinpoints an issue that you can go check right away. And
well, this is, I mean, we talk in community, in law enforcement, we talk about community policing. I mean, this is community policing at its best. This is an issue that some people always say, oh, what's the big deal? It's like, no, wait a second. It's a huge deal. People want to be able to walk up and down the street. If you don't shovel your sidewalk, now you get people walking out in the street instead of on the sidewalk, creates a dangerous situation.
Very dangerous.
It's a small thing, but it can be, it's a dangerous thing.
Not only, think about it, if you don't shovel your sidewalk, you think that person's not home. That community services tip would be, your house might get broken into.
Yeah, but so it's an invitation to somebody looking to do something.
They're always around, they're not paying attention, maybe no one's here.
It's a great point.
It's like the broken window theory.
Broken window theory.
It all goes on. If you're not maintaining and following rules and regulations, a person will walk by and say, hey, I may have an opportunity to, do something bad at this house because no one's paying attention.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
So you get the call, somebody says the guy next door is not shoveling, you show up. Is there a knock on the door? Is there a conversation? Is there a chance do you say, hey guys, listen, you got 20 minutes to make it right, or do you even have time for stuff like that?
It takes about 2 to 3 minutes to operate the machine, the handheld that takes a violation, photographs it, place that photograph right on the ticket and hang it.
Are you kidding me? So you guys actually take an actual photo?
Take a photo of every violation we write in the city of Boston down there, and it puts it right on the ticket, and we give that to the constituent by leaving it at the door. If someone came out or someone's around, we would talk to them.
Sure.
If there's no one around, you leave the violation, they make it home later, call us the next day and talk about it. We tell them about the appeal process and what they could do, what they need to do to resolve the issue. And when you have one violation, and you go through the appeal process, the hearing officers and the program is more geared for educational needs. It tends to be a little more lenient about that because they think we've taught the individual what the need to be a little bit more.
Maybe, who knows, maybe the person who's moved in here from California, Florida, they're not aware of the seriousnly of what they're dealing with.
There's plenty of excuses out there.
Any good ones off the top of your head?
And you get one good excuse,
Is there one that's?
Mostly it's just, I just don't know the regulations. I thought the city would do it for me. I
thought my wife was going to. Tiger's would be. I thought my wife was going to shovel.
Yeah, I think that's why he's in the hospital, so he doesn't have to shovel anymore.
Tiger's like, I thought my wife was going to be home in an hour. Yeah. But let me get back. Just kind of talk again about the point about you guys. It's photographic evidence. You actually snap a picture, so there's no dispute about someone saying, "Hey, come on, and shovel." It's like, well, guy, when we get here at 4 o'clock on this day, here's what we saw, and that clearly is in violation.
And so now when the hearing officer looks at that picture, and it downloads into a computer, so the hearing officer is actually looking at it in color.
Okay.
So it really defines what we see out there in the violation.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that for?
We've been doing that for the last couple of years, and what really has helped us, on May 14th, the city was able to enact the Greenbelt legislation, which allows now for people who ignore the fines, a lien will be put on their property. And we just recently had about $200,000 worth of fines go onto the liens of properties.
A lien on their property. Because was that a problem in the past? People weren't taking these citations seriously, or?
It was a problem in the past. We had no real mechanism to, for collection that was effective, you know. So, but we were educational anyway, so we weren't really worried about collecting and teaching and getting anything done. But then you have those people who
repeat offenders
who would never do anything. So this bill has been effective. We've seen a lot of those repeat offenders rushing to the 1010 Mass Ave for hearings and trying to learn and pretend like they've been the greatest landlords and they're ready to step forward. Nowadays, it's made a big difference out there.
They've seen the light. Yeah. And they're grateful for the re-education or the education as to what they should and shouldn't do. Yes. All right. So you show up. Now, do you leave the ticket on the door? Do you knock on the door? What do you do?
Yeah, we put the ticket in an envelope just like a parking ticket, and we leave it right on the door, and off we go to the next complaint.
Okay. And what's a fine run? Is it
for residential, if you don't shovel your sidewalk, it's $25. For business, it's $50.
Okay.
If you push the snow in the street with a plow, it's $250. If you throw the snow from your
$250 with a plow? So a plow, if I hire a guy to come plow out my driveway and he throws it in the street,
he plows
he's $250.
He's $250. If a person shoveling off their property throws it into the street with a shovel or a snow blower, it's a $100 fine for that.
All right. So let me get back to, so the guy doesn't shovel his driveway or shovel his sidewalk. You show up, you give him the citation. Now, is that house the place? Is that a visit for the next day? Let's follow up tomorrow, and if it's still not in compliance, do you issue another citation, or what happens there?
We're allowed to go back every day, but we tend to try to give an individual to get home, digest what's happened. Maybe we'll return in a day or two. The amount of complaints, we may not get back to for a couple of 3-4 days until we catch up with the complaints, and the storm winds down, and then we get to go take a walk through the neighborhood and see it for our own eyes, what hasn't changed. But this year, with each storm rolling in, we really haven't had that breather to really take a walk around the neighborhood and see what hasn't changed. We've been jumping all over the place.
You've been busy like you read about this year.
Yeah, I think this happened to us in '94 also. I want to say '94 and '95.
I was going to ask you, I mean, in terms of snowfall, is this the most you've seen, or not?
I think it was 109 inches they had for snow, and it snowed like every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday for that season. I kind of remember because I had an apartment over in South Boston, but I bought my house in Dorchester. And I got the shovel out in Southie first, and then shovel out in Dorchester before we could do any cleaning and preparing to move in and all that good stuff that you do. And I shoveled a lot that year. All
right, we got a couple minutes left, and I want to give you an opportunity, just to the person who maybe still doesn't get it. What do you say to that person about the importance of something as simple as just shoveling your front sidewalk?
Just take a minute to observe your neighbors and the needs that they have just to get around just their own little small neighborhood, and you'll realize that many of them need a clear sidewalk. They need the handicap ramp cleared as a good neighbor. The fire hydrant kits, if there's any fires down, you don't want them to spend time digging that out to get there, the catch basin for it melts, and just check on people. And when the public works truck comes through there and he relocates the snow through to the sides of the street, don't throw it back out there. You just recreate in the storm again by throwing it back out there.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's, I did the driveway and it came and I was like, come on. But you're right, though. I mean, there's a reason these things are in place, because you need these streets clear. Emergency personnel need to be able to utilize and access the streets. And we need people to do the right thing and shovel sidewalks and dispose of snow properly.
This past winter, I've had the pleasure of working the midnight to 8 shift while, Tiger fakes an injury and lies in
fakes that gallbladder. Tiger, faker, we know,
so I've been on with Public Works, listen to the work they do and the teamwork they have, and it's really amazing what they do overnight to get that snow moved and relocated. It's a lot of work out there, and they really...
I want to keep, because I've seen some reports, people are saying city's not doing enough to remove the snow. They're doing the best they can. These guys are working hard. It's not for lack of effort. You're dealing with snow totals you haven't seen in some time, so it's like, there's got to be some understanding of the reality of the situation.
Yeah, they're doing a pretty good job. I get to see it and hear it and monitor it firsthand. And, you know, it's nice to hear that teamwork over the radio.
Yeah, and people probably aren't aware of it. No school tomorrow, snow emergency in effect. One final thing before we say goodnight to Chief Mike Mackan. Can you mark a spot anymore in the city of Boston?
Well,
the chairs,
you're
cone.
allowed 48 hours after a snowstorm, and then what normally happens, if you leave it out there longer, on your next trash pickup day, it tends to be a little easier to manage it this way. The contractor that comes through the city of Boston picking your trash will take out your marks, your things you leave behind to mark the spots.
Your refrigerator.
Yeah, well, you know, the first year they did it, people did do stuff like that. I couldn't get rid of my toilet. They started putting toilets out to mark the spots. And they get rid of all that stuff. So that worked well for the constituents, but they run out of that stuff.
For 48 hours after you shovel out the spot, if you mark it with something, 48 hours, you got to no longer do the marking thing.
No longer.
All right, anything else we didn't cover?
No, just if you see any kind of complaint in the city quality of life for trash, snow, vending, signs on poles, call us at Code Enforcement 617-635-4896. If we're closed, call our agency that really helps us a lot, the mayor's office at 635-4500.
And if you call Code Enforcement at 635-4896, chances are you won't get a hold of Tiger Stockbridge because Tiger's usually faking something. Yeah. Most recently, a gallbladder situation, which has him at Beth Israel tonight. Tiger, we wish you were here tonight. We missed you. And your stories about making your wife shovel. Chief Mackan, buddy, it's always good to have you.
Well,
great information, and it's
always
stuff people...
nice to work at the police. You know, they do so much that you don't hear about.
Same with you guys.
And it's great to have an opportunity to come in and educate, and people watch this show, and I'll have less sidewalks to go.
Well, as you say, in a perfect world, we're going to cut back some of the workload you have because people are going to realize, geez, maybe I should take 20 or 30 minutes to
we'll reach
shovel.
Tens of millions of people tonight, and they'll all know the rules.
That's if we actually going to show up at American Idol. If we have a break-in spot at American Idol, that would happen. All right, Chief Mike Mackan was tonight's guest from Code Enforcement. I want to thank him and thank you for watching tonight. Again, no school tomorrow. Kids kids shovel. That's the message. Get out and shovel. And the snow emergency declared as of 7 o'clock tonight, so get your car off the main roads. We'll see you next week, everybody. Thanks for watching Call the Cops. Good night.